it going?
Is this an extra one? I had it printed out on my car and I thought I grabbed it and I
Man,
grabbed
you had a
the
good
dance
weekend.
schedule. I know, right?
Let's call to order the October 8th, city council meeting at 5:30. Mr. Lewis, you want to lead?
Just bow our head and start with a prayer. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to wake today, to have the opportunity to serve you. Allow us to cherish every moment we have here. Cherish every minute of every hour of every day, as we know every day is a gift. So we humbly stand in front of you, and we ask in every need, let me come to thee with humble trust, saying, Jesus, help me. In all my doubts, perplexities, and temptations, Jesus, help me. In hours of loneliness, weariness, and trials, Jesus, help me. When my heart is cast down by failure, at seeing no good come from my efforts, Jesus, help me. When others fail me, and thy grace alone can assist me, Jesus, help me. When I throw myself on thy tender love as Father and Savior, Jesus, help me. Again, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and live every day in your love and trust in the Lord. We'll just end on an Our Father. Our
Father,
who
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any amendments? Anybody wants to amend them? Thing? No? Okay. Moving on, let's see what we got here. So announcements, Cruising the Coast is from October 10th to October 12th in Bay St. Louis. And why do we have the logo PDF in here?
What's that?
I mean, the logo's in here. I mean, it's just,
Logo?
yeah, I guess they just attached it.
I guess it's, in case you didn't know what the logo is, you do.
Yeah, it's all everywhere. Let's see, second announcement, Police Department National Night Out, October 13th. There is a flyer, and if any, that'll be this week also. It's gonna be a busy week.
At the depot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunday.
5 to 8.
Sunday night?
I think it's from 5 to 8, right?
Yes, sir.
What?
Yeah.
Sunday at the historic train depot. And let's see, the pickleball court ribbon cutting, the long-awaited ribbon cutting will be on Tuesday next week, October 15th at 8 a.m. And it'll officially be open for business. So, Mike, what's going to be the procedure for people that want to play? It's just first come,
Put
first
the
served?
rules together, yeah, in a way, there's more people, waiting to play. Then we'll have a set of rules, whether, might be like stack a paddle, I think they call it. It'll be there with rules, how they swap out.
Okay,
And then it'll be limited, it won't be, if anyone is there giving lessons, anything like that, then that takes a back seat to people coming to play.
okay.
But we're looking at that, Brent's got 3 or 4 what other cities have posted on their pickleball courts. It's all pretty much the same, it's just how you see who's next, so.
Okay. Good enough. Let's see, the next city, Boo in the Bay Parade is October 19th at 5:30 at the depot. It should be a big turnout. And then the parade follows, I believe, or it starts there. Let's see, number 5, the next city council meeting will be October 22nd at 5:30 here. And the last announcement's the Witches Walk, October 26th. And let's see when that's going to be. It starts from 10 to 6, I guess. And I guess they're going to have all kind of contests or something like that. Costume contest, best broom contest. So there's going to be all types of activities. Again, that's October 26th. Guests, we don't have any guests today. Let's see, motion to approve the minutes from September 17th of 2024. Anybody review them?
I wasn't here, so I don't know what y'all did. I didn't review
Motion by Councilman Lewis to approve the minutes. We have a second? Second? And, let's see, if any discussion, no discussion, vote the motion. Aye, motion carries 4-0. Let's see, mayor's report, harbor, repairs and Hurricane Zeta FEMA update. Who's giving that?
Yeah, this is one of the projects we've been working on for the last 3 years or more. You know, we went out for bids. I think they'd awarded us like 1.6 million for repairs. Went out for bids. It come back at 3.4 million repairs. And we got a okay, I think it was Friday, from Congressman Zell's office, Senator Wicker's office as well. A few, you know, that FEMA has approved the remaining 1.6 million, which is 90% of the 1.8 needed to do this project. So we're waiting for it in writing, and that way they're supposed to be sent in, and we'll have that to go with. We talked last meeting, I think it was about the grant anticipation grant. That is something we need to go get this grant to help get this rolling off for the harbor repairs. So that's pretty big, you know, but again, it's taking.
And that's gonna cover the west wall,
That's the south
wall?
South wall by the parking lot.
And this additional funding is gonna cover what?
That south wall. It all covers that south wall. That's a $3.4 million repair.
That was
So we won't have to
originally-
borrow as much.
Well, we still got to borrow to pay for it, but then we get reimbursed 90%. We pay 5%, and the state pays 5%, the remaining 10%. And then that'll come out the harbor funds as well.
All right, let's see. Motion to spread, letter from FEMA dated September 26, 2024 regarding the fiscal year 2022 flood assistance FMA, SWIFT current, FMA-PJ-04-MS-2022-0008 Amendment 2 project approval, Bay St. Louis SWIFT. Let's see, that's 4035 Honshu Street and 3100 Robinson Road. Elevations, I'm sorry. Miss thing here. Do we have a motion to,
Councilman Alba, quick question on this.
Go
if
ahead.
you don't mind. So I know nobody has a crystal ball, but I seem to remember throughout this dialogue, it was predicated on FEMA having the funds available or pending there's not a natural disaster, or they'll try to expedite. Now, we know based on the management or mismanagement of funds with FEMA program by our administration, it seems like there might, not this administration, or
Well, I
yeah.
wish we had that money.
Does that throw any curveball? I mean, are we looking at, because again, I do remember seeing that it was predicated on the funds being.
Well, it still is. What you're remembering, or at least what I think you're recalling is, and we will talk about that later, is this is, remember, a reimbursement program. So MEMA is still estimating through FEMA that it's still a 60 to 90 day turnaround for reimbursements. But yes, you will have to come up. The city is going to have to front the money. Then we submit it to MEMA, who submits it to FEMA, who submits it for reimbursement.
Okay.
So part of the letters did state that the FEMA Assistance Office has issued financial award amendment and documentation and approved, support, and approval for e-grants. The funds have been obligated to the appropriate payment and reporting systems for these projects. So
Yeah, the funds are obligated.
Yeah, funds are.
We just do not get them in our bank
Right,
account. We
but
get
they're,
No,
reimbursed.
they're
yeah,
obligated, they're not.
They are obligated.
And that's one of the things we're gonna have to figure out how's it gonna get paid, so we can cancel checks in to be reimbursed to pay, you know, whomever pays for it.
does anybody have the minutes?
No, I didn't see them. All right, do you need a motion on that, Gary? I mean, that's all.
Yes, so if there's no more discussion, then,
Read everything.
we need a motion, to, spread the letter across, the
Motion.
minutes. Who made it? You made a motion by Doug Seal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Any more discussion?
Just with that, you will notice that these projects, we had two separate projects originally. They are now combined into one project.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead. Vote the motion.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Let's see, next item. Motion to approve task order number 1 with Tetra Tech for swift current flood mitigation assistance, and that's grant number FMA-PJ-04-MS-2022-0008. Good, you wanna touch
Yeah,
on
now
it?
that, again, when we did a contract with Tetra Tech the last time, that put us in contract with them, kind of prearranged agreement. Once that bond, this letter was received, that gave us the funding through the budget amendment. So now we're saying, let's issue a task order to them for this project.
It's like a notice to proceed,
Okay.
construction loan.
Any discussion, council?
And just on this one, the last paper we got with all the numbers on it, where does the 5% breakdown at in their contract? Cause I looked for that, and I never could see where their 5% is called out as.
It's just a
I
calculation.
glanced through it too, and I didn't see the exact, it said 5%.
Right,
But if you take the 531 times 5%, you're basically at $26,550, something like that.
okay, so the numbers are on here?
And they're not to
Yes.
exceed is
Okay.
26,470.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's on page 5.
okay, yeah, I was looking
Just
through
under.
the, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
page,
have the numbers.
yeah,
so we
page
got
5
the
has
sheet.
a summary of cost.
Yes, okay, thank you.
And I was
And
waiting.
we got that to 4:30?
Yes,
They
I
sent
know,
me
he
the
just, he
draft,
just gave it to us, so,
And I uploaded it without the numbers. They're like, look, we gotta go through the budgets and look at each little section.
okay.
I got that today and uploaded it and made
Yes, I
copies
was
for
asking
y'all.
if it was called out, thank you.
All the
sir.
other language is consistent from
Motion to
Friday.
approve?
Motion by Councilman Seal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Any discussion? Go ahead and vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Let's see. Motion to approve resolution oh wait, what's this? We got another one. Discuss the Swift Current Program Agreement for Swift Current Flood Mitigation Assistance Grant number FMA-PJ-04-MS-2022-0008, funds in the amount of $531,053.30.
So, what I did there, council, was I wanted to spread that so y'all had that language. That's gonna be probably one of our next steps to do that, but part of that, I think, needs to be with Tetra Tech. Have a phone call with them tomorrow morning to identify what is gonna be our process in getting that through. Before y'all commit and sign an agreement, I kinda want y'all to understand, okay, what are the processes? Is FEMA on board with the process that we send up to them? So,
So basically, the next step will actually be executing and signing the grant agreement. The reason that we just wanted to discuss it today is the administration would like to have the time to sit down with Tetra Tech and to go over, because we want to let you guys know exactly what you're signing. So we're gonna work through with Tetra Tech the issues that we've had all along as to who is fronting this money. The two options are going to be either the homeowners are gonna have to front all of this money, or the city of Bay St. Louis. There's a very good chance that it will have to be the city of Bay St. Louis, but we're trying to see if there's a way to work with Tetra Tech to see if we can make it more of a pass-through. Now with Tetra Tech along to make sure that all the procurements are done, that maybe the homeowners can go ahead and pay these bills up front and take the city out of it. That's the stuff that we're just not sure yet, but we wanted to make sure to have all those details before you actually executed the grant agreement.
So anticipating, and we're looking at a 60 to 90 day
We don't have it.
reimbursement period.
Well, you can say,
that is a
that's,
direct email from Jenna.
Okay.
Yeah.
60 to 90-day reimbursement.
So have
And-
we
and-
have we discussed where those funds will be coming from?
Budgeted.
Budgeted?
We put this in the budget, right?
No, this is, no. It was
to
originally,
amend the
the homeowner, you know, for us to come up with $555,000 for possibly 90 days, I don't know where we're getting that from. And if it takes longer than that, then we're in more trouble. I thought it was coming from the homeowner putting the funds up to be reimbursed.
Well, I thought that was the meetings with French, Mr. French and all, to say, hey, they have the funds.
They do. The state.
it doesn't,
State's got theirs, but they're
But it's reimbursed on canceled checks.
the state
So
does not
someone has
have-
to write a
not- I
check
don't
for
think the state does not physically have these
$555,000.
Mm-mm.
Well, they've lumped the
and
two
then
in.
they would be reimbursed.
Yeah, so somebody has to pay this up front and then submit it for reimbursement.
And so when are we gonna
And-
get clarification on who's gonna be doing that?
Well, that's why
Well,
that's why
that's
we
the
didn't want you
discussion
guys
now.
to sign the agreement. We wanted Tetra Tech to get on board, because clearly, you know, we've been talking to MEMA about this for a long time, and that's when my outstanding concerns on the legalities of this, because if it is the city, I still don't think we have a legal mechanism of paying this, because even the grant, I mean, even the legislation that Tim Ladner passed, if you read it, it describes grant funds as the Swift Current Initiative. You don't have that money yet. What you have is general fund money, or whatever pot of money you end up utilizing. That's the money that you have. So you have public money that's still gonna have to be utilized. So that's what we're trying to figure out, how we
And
can.
what you have to realize too, there's another round of these grants that's out there now with upwards of possibility of $10 million in the state. And if people of Bay St. Louis are lucky enough to get these grants, then how are we gonna fund all those as well if
Yeah,
it's
we need to.
chosen to
If
fund
we
that,
apply for them, because I think we have,
you know?
what,
so-
Jason, 75 people, 50 to 75 people
But
that
the
would probably
SWIFT,
be
the
eligible.
SWIFT grant is not the only mechanism to raise houses. The SWIFT grant is screwed up the way it's designed, and we all
It
know
is,
that,
they
right?
reinvented, they put a square wheel on it.
Again, right, but there's still FMA out there to raise properties.
Yep.
100% repetitive, severe repetitive loss, and there's funding out there for it. They keep funding this SWIFT grant, which is okay for everybody except the state of Mississippi, right?
No.
No,
Well, Louisiana can
No,
use it.
state,
this
so,
whole region.
I
well,
know, but the
so,
region, Louisiana can use
so
it, right?
Louisiana's using a process that
Different.
I'm just hoping that they never get audited. And,
Right, well,
you know,
I'm
it's
just
a
saying, they
different
can use
process.
theirs. We
They have the
just-
same rules.
Right.
Some states are passing it on directly to the homeowners. When I say passing it on, meaning the homeowners are fronting the money. Some states, you know, the state of Florida clearly has more money than the state of Mississippi. They're running a program that the state's actually fronting, the state themselves, not
Right.
the municipality, the state is fronting the money. So different places are doing it different ways, but I can tell you that we are not the only person, not the only entity in the United States that's having this exact same problem utilizing this money. It is, we learned that in our 7 hours of grant administrator interviews, that has been very burdensome on somebody. It's like this
Right.
great idea, here's all this money, here's $10 million.
Use it.
Okay, well, where do I get $10 million
Right.
to spend $10 million to get it back?
Correct.
Well, and I recollect, and when there was one of the groups that did this in Louisiana, I get it's a different area, but I think, didn't they mention that they essentially do that pass through to where they anticipate that money, it's gonna be paid back, so they kind of, that,
Like the contractor
yeah,
you referred to?
contractor, correct.
Well, yeah, but the problem is, you know, here in Mississippi, you've got to submit a canceled check. And that's what our FEMA region requires.
In Louisiana, they don't require, it's different requirements, I get that, but
Apparently. I don't understand how, but apparently FEMA Region 6 does things different than FEMA Region 4.
Yeah.
On this document, what does the local cost share mean for 24?
So that is that's exactly what it says, the local cost share. So that is the portion that, you know, the way the grant is written, the city of Bay St. Louis, as a subrecipient, we've always taken the position that would be the homeowner would have to come in and front that money as their cost share.
Yeah, the balance.
But it's the same in the FEMA world as, say, our local share that we have to pay for the harbor.
Got it.
Same idea.
You would like to say something?
Tammy Curtis Guy, 3100 Robertson Road, Bay St. Louis. I just had a couple of questions. I know what our increased estimate was, and thank the Lord that FEMA covered that, and also April. She can't be here tonight. But there was extra left over. I'm just curious, I don't know if it's 100,000 extra of that 531,000. Where's that extra money? How did that get awarded? I mean, I'm just curious about it.
I'm not sure.
I'm not following you. What are you
The
talking about?
total, the 531,000 and change.
Mhm.
I think our cost, unless I'm just not looking at it correctly, ours went up to like 178,000. April's is like 230, and so that leaves quite a bit of money, which is great. I was just wondering.
Are you talking about the
The
like
total.
531 is the grant, so then you would add that plus your local share, and then somewhere in there, I think there's a breakdown of what, I don't,
in
That's
here?
the cost estimate, the 531 is the cost estimate
For
of
our
doing
home.
it.
yeah, that's your
For both
engineering,
of them.
Okay.
your relocation costs, your
was all
grant
the
administration
extra.
costs. So in these grants, you have to look at everything. It's not just the actual cost
Cool.
of construction, it's the whole
Okay.
shebang.
Okay, and then also what you were saying, Doug, that there are others. And y'all know me, I'm gonna research something to death, but I did speak to some other companies that, yes, they do things differently in Louisiana, but the one thing that was encouraging to me, and then I called FEMA, the FMA and the SWIFT, they've restructured them to where they said they're mirror images of each other. It's just that the FMA is non-disaster identified, which is good, because we don't want a disaster to have to get money. And the SWIFT was disaster identified. So I thought that was very encouraging. And they said that portal should open up mid-October and probably close again in February.
December, Tammy, is what they, unless they've changed that, but what they were saying the other day is
Yeah,
December.
well, I called FEMA and they told me it
They
would
could
open.
have, I'm just saying, I read it in our stuff the other day, it said
Okay,
December.
that's
So
good,
It would
but-
be better for us if it was February, because it gives more time.
Oh, you
to
mean the
prepare.
deadline?
The
beginning
deadline.
of December? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but that means we even have a smaller window to help the people in the city to move this along so they can, because we've lost out on 2 years of it.
Well, and it's, as I've told MEMA, I mean, again, this idea is great, but are you gonna give us $10 million? Like, if it were up to me, we would go raise everybody's house that's on that repetitive list and utilize every dollar in that grant. But we, the city of Bay St. Louis, do not have $10 million just sitting in an account somewhere. So that's the dilemma and the roadblock that we're running into.
I do know when I spoke to Tetra Tech and to HGA, that they said that they, and I know it's different, but they had been successful with hundreds of these in the surrounding states. And they were perplexed why we hadn't. I said, because we're a different animal over here. And that's why I'm grateful Tetra Tech's coming on board, because I think they're gonna be able to cash out these unknowns for us, because this is what they do.
Thank you.
So I got a phone call tomorrow morning with Tetra Tech to start talking about this process and what's our next steps. So I'll keep y'all posted.
Good.
We'll keep you posted, yes, ma'am.
Cool.
So, okay, so all we were doing was just talking about this. This is not a
Correct, there
vote.
wasn't a vote on it yet. We want to get back to y'all on that.
Discussions.
Yes, I have a scheduled appointment.
Okay, so we have Southern Mississippi Planning Development District to assist and serve as an agent for the Bay St. Louis to establish commercial redevelopment revitalization program in the city for vacant and blighted buildings. Let's see. So you want to go into that?
Yeah, I can speak towards it. So part of our comprehensive plan talked about blighted property and just other incentives to, for commercial development and revitalization. One of those was the SMPDD program that's focused on blight. And basically, what we did here is you're setting up a resolution with SMPDD to put an agreement between us and the city saying we would be eligible to offer this program. Now, we'll tell you separately, there is a grant, an application out there for a certain hotel on Highway 90 that was done. But y'all need to be able to look at that separately, because each application is basically on its own merit. The same thing would be coming in the future of looking at TIF redevelopment plan. So if anybody ever comes and says, hey, we want to build a Hampton Inn behind the Pizza Hut, but we need to run water, sewer, upsize lines, you can consider a TIF bond
Yeah.
for that, based on that development. And you're talking about what TIF is, tax increment finance, or whatever increased taxes off that property would be. It takes about 4 or 5 months to get that plan together and on the shelf, and it's a requirement. So that way, if you can have that in place, if someone ever comes and says, have a development, then you're ready to go and consider that application independently. The final one would look at the county's tax abatement program. So this is one piece of the pie, that we can basically match the county on what they've put out there. I don't think anybody, I'm not aware of using the exact tax abatement program. I don't even know if it's been utilized yet, to be honest. And I think they put it in place in 2017. But it gives you a tool in the toolbox. Every application is considered independently based on y'all, and y'all have to look at them independently. So this is just kind of putting those little pieces in place, following, again, putting check marks on comprehensive plan items. It says, if that application ever comes, you got there. And I can think of several properties in town that just may be very good. The way it works, and I have someone from SMPD here, so if I misspeak, you can
Yeah.
correct me. So, basically you get a tri-party agreement, city, SMPDD, developer. Developer comes in and spends $1 million to renovate Blight, okay? The city would agree to say, all right, well, what's the increased sales tax on that property? What's the increment? So we were collecting 10,000 before, now we're collecting 100,000 of sales taxes off that property. The city would agree to give a portion of that rebate back through SMPDD to the developer. It can be done up for 15 years max and up to 30% max.
What is the, so 30% max, what is the proposed percentage at this point?
There is none. Each For-
Everything's
this doesn't-
individually looked at. This doesn't lock us into
Yeah,
anything.
okay.
when an application
all-
comes, y'all would have to look at it and say, hey, they're asking for 100%. Well, y'all may say, nah, we're not doing 100%. We'll do 50%, or we'll do 25%. So that's where that, hey, how,
Capped at 30.
what's the value to y'all? Is this a good blighted property to get converted? What's it do long-term for the city? Then it gives you an incentive to be able to do that. So again, the developer could get rebated back up to 30% of his investment and up to 15 years. If he collects it all in year one, he's done.
Well, they had a similar project after Katrina, and they built all these,
Section
apartment
40.
complexes,
Yeah.
and they got 10-year no taxes paid to the city or any of the
Mhm.
local
Yeah.
cities and stuff, and that was a terrible
You know,
program.
Section 42 of the tax code.
Section 40, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nothing to do with this.
That's
No.
totally separate.
Totally
So in
different.
other words, I'm leery about taking taxpayer earned dollars and giving it back to somebody if it's based on that. I mean, what guarantee what they're doing?
Well, they
is
would be
gonna-
getting a portion of the increase of sales tax back. The city wouldn't be giving anything. They paying a dollar right now on this piece of property of sales tax, and they start collecting $2, and you give a portion of that $1 to them. You don't, not the full $2, they would get a portion of any increased sales tax from updating this and fixing it, and get it out of.
The idea is to give
Of that.
incentives to generate more sales tax that the city otherwise would not have, to make it more attractive for people to come in and do these bigger economic development type projects.
But this is
Or-
the hottest growing city in Mississippi. Why wouldn't anybody want to invest in here?
And again, that's
Would-
why each application.
You don't
would be
see
con-
retail knocking our doors down, do we? We try, but again,
I mean,
some
you
things
got
aren't
limited,
available,
you got limited
you know.
inventory on as far as retail goes.
I mean, but it's.
That's true.
It is, but we
But
have
there's-
some that's sitting
think of
there
some of
that
the other
could be
properties
with
that are-
improvements.
You might consider blight.
And we have a
If you
running
look
list
at
of
it,
those blighted properties as
you know.
it stands now.
I'm sorry?
Do we have a running list of what those blighted properties as it stands now?
Well, I don't have a list of it. I mean, you can just drive down the street and probably see
But it'll
a
have to be,
couple.
have to be determined as blighted.
Fine.
Yeah, it's really, from SMPD's point, tell me if I said something wrong here. It's really, that's defined by y'all. That if y'all think,
Why don't
hey,
you come on up and
we
explain?
have an incentive here, we want to do it. The other piece I would comment before he goes is just, if property doesn't produce sales tax,
They don't get anything.
they're not getting any rebate.
Well, that was one of the questions. At what point do we determine the timeline of what their return on investment and what that sales tax increases to? Is
That's
there a
why the
timeline?
agreement, every year, they would, SMPD would pull that report from the state, because every month, they have to return or send their sales tax to the state. They end up pulling a report at the end saying, all right, last year, they generated $100,000. The year before, it was $10,000. There's a $90,000 increment. So of that, 18.5% comes back to the city.
So it would be an annual evaluation.
Yeah, and they would, that's their agreement with them. But this is strictly putting the agreement with us and SMPDD through a resolution. You're not looking at any particular application at this point.
Go ahead, state your name and.
Yeah, I'm Ronnie Emil with Revolving Loan Program and Municipal Financing through SMPDD out of Gulfport. And yeah, everything Mike said is the program is designed for it doesn't have to be blighted properties. It could be any property that just needs development. You want to move somebody in there and get that thing alive again. give you an example, one of the sister cities that we work with, we work with 7 other cities on this program. City of Biloxi, developer had a shopping center, was pretty much vacant. He had a few small tenants, but the big spot in the middle was just vacant. Couldn't get nobody to move into that thing because it was either too big, too expensive to lease. So they desperately needed a grocery store in the city on that end of town. So grocery store looked at the building, met with the developer that owned the strip center, said, hey, this will work for us, but it needs a lot of work. We got to put underground plumbing and fire suppression systems, all that. And the developer said, okay, well, you haven't signed a lease with me yet. I don't want to spend all that money fixing up my building if I don't have a lease with you. So as an incentive for the city to help the developer to want to improve his property to get that tenant in there, the city of Biloxi said, okay, whatever money you spend developing that property, improving that shopping center for this grocery store, like Mike said, the grocery store is going to come into that spot, and basically a property that wasn't generating any sales tax to the city, it was just sitting there vacant. Now a Rouse's Superstore is coming in there, and the potential for sales tax to the city of Biloxi is tremendous. And so what's basically going to happen, once a year, Rouse's submits their sales tax to the state revenue department. State revenue department turns around, gives the city of Biloxi 18.5% of that 7% sales tax back to the city of Biloxi. City of Biloxi said, we're willing to give you 45% of the tax refund that we get back from the state, 45% of that 18.5%. And it's going to be for a period, I think they set theirs up for a period of 10 years to the developer, but the developer will get that percentage back every year. SMPDD's role is to do the application process with the developers who have these properties that they want to be considered for this tax rebate. So we administer the application process, help them put the package together. Package comes to you guys, and it's totally up to your discretion whether or not you want to do it or not. We don't recommend that you have to do it or anything. That's totally up to your leadership. Some cities will take City of Hattiesburg, they've split their city up into 2 different sections. They have 2 different sections of the city that they've designated for blight, and that they're only using this program for businesses who want to move in and generate sales tax in those areas. Some cities, it's wherever in the city they want to. That's totally up to you. Sorry about that. That's the flexibility the city has. And so if you approve a deal and you also look at it and you determine, like Mike said, you have to determine, okay, do we want to give this business 10% of the 18.5% each year? Do we want to give 20%, 50%, whatever you deem is right for the city?
So, not to cut you off, but so with the one in Biloxi, you said that Rouse's came in there, so it's only the sales tax that Rouse's produces, or the whole property produces?
That Rouse's produces on sales, 7% sales tax on grocery sales annually. That goes to the state, 7% sales tax to the state. State sends you back 18.5% of that, and then the city looks at that 18.5%, determines how much do we want to give the developer for his willingness to put all his money into fixing up that building to help bring a grocery store to our community that needed it, kind of thing.
And I'm assuming, Ronnie, there's an objective formulary or algorithm data set, because what you don't want to get into, hey, we gave this developer 30% and then we give this one 10%, so I'm sure that's tied into the amount of investment that they put into that property on top of what their sales tax revenue is. I just don't want I want it to be objective criteria versus just being subjective to where one can say, well, y'all gave X amount versus this amount.
Right, and that is something that you guys determine. That's
And
totally
so I'll speak on that real quick too, just as someone who's been around a lot of business development over the years. All business development projects are not created equally. So every project that comes to you, you're not going to treat them all the same, because somebody might want to come spend $1 million and generate 2 jobs. Somebody might want to come spend $10 million and generate 200 jobs. So they are very specific, and basically most of the incentive world as to they are custom molded for whatever that person is choosing to bring into your city. So it definitely is not a one shoe, and you wouldn't want it to be a one shoe.
Well, no, but I think
fits
there
all.
needs to be some tangible, you tie that to the level of investment and then the sales tax to where you can justify that if you have somebody that brings in a higher level of investment and then brings in higher revenue, there might be obviously a larger portion of
Larger
percentage.
portion of the
Yes,
tax.
but so I'm not
Yeah,
saying
where
one
you can,
size
like,
fits all,
scale
but
it.
doing a tiered system to
Yeah.
where you have
I get
criteria.
that.
And I heard you say that you can do this for current, so this program would also be for, if you got a shopping center right now that has half vacancy, you can, and approach the owner of that and let them know about this program as well, correct? So it's not
Correct.
just blighted, but it's
Right.
current, if you wanna make improvements, here's this incentive.
Improvement
Exactly.
facial, you know, all that can be improved through this.
That's
And-
flexibility on the council really gets to determine, okay, is this worth, using this program or not?
So the council and the administration would determine and then approach some of the, again, I'm not really talking about blighted, but more of existing that may have a benefit to do improvements.
Yep.
Okay.
And to add on to what Ms. Smith was saying, that part of that application process that SMPDD handles for the city, our application is gonna spell out, okay, how many jobs is this gonna produce? What is the projected incomes for the next 5 years? How big of an investment, what dollar amount is the developer putting into this? We verify those things. And that completed application package is what is given to you guys to look at. And like she said, not all business deals are created equal. You might have a business that's 2 jobs and $200,000. You might have 200 over $1 million of cost. So you're gonna have all those details, job numbers, projected income, projected sales tax, to help you make the decision on how you want to, structure that.
Does this also, and I'm assuming this is entirely different from the MBA tax abatement, grant,
Completely.
Complete.
Completely
Yeah.
different.
but, and they couldn't, could you get a developer, investor or developer do both programs?
I think the challenge in trying to do both, like, for example, this and a TIF. Well, the TIF's dependent on
So they're
sales
two
tax,
different,
and
I mean, it's
it'd
apples
be-
and oranges,
Yeah,
there
so
couldn't be an
it's-
overlap.
Trying to
you'll-
pull from
they
2
would-
pots, you just can't.
They probably have to select the one that's most
You'd have to find which is best.
beneficial.
Okay,
But it's a tool in the toolbox for the council and the developer to say.
yeah, cause that MBA is a
you
total
understand-
complete,
understand,
yeah.
somebody can submit an application, but that does not mean you have to say yes, and it does not mean that you have to say yes to the exact same thing for each application, when that would be coming in front of you. So this just puts the agreement here.
And this seems
Yeah.
like it could also be for smaller projects that don't meet MDA's threshold.
Yeah, I
Or
think that was
something
what,
that
Yeah,
wouldn't
'cause
make
MDA's
sense to
got
have,
$15 million threshold or
Right.
something like
Right.
that.
Right.
And that's a full tax.
That's the
abatement, right,
rebate.
too,
Yeah, it's a
I
15,
think you're talking about the
15-year,
rebate.
30% tax abatement. That's what we did. The Pearl Hotel was built using this type of funding.
Yeah, it's a rebate program.
And I know this was
Similar.
identified on the comprehensive plan. I mean, it's good to see that, cause again, that's part of that discussion is developing a protocol to discover what properties could be approved upon, so. I think this goes right in line with our comprehensive plan.
It is, and and one of the things you gotta think about also, just like when the Pearl came in, as mentioned, we also have the ad valorem taxes that increased on that piece of property from vacant lot to that, and the same with this. Their ad valorem taxes with the improvements they make should go up as well, so you can see a increase there. Hopefully, you can see the increase in sales tax to go with it, even though you might give a portion, whatever that percentage that's decided, to them for the abatement there.
It's like the Pearl Hotel. It's the tax, surprisingly, I got a spreadsheet on that. So if they had 6% occupancy rate, $161 a night, they was gonna collect $42,000. The city would get $42,000 in sales tax rebate. Last year, they paid $49,425 in ad valorem tax to the city, right? So the sales tax and the ad valorem tax basically balanced each other out, but without them building a hotel, you'd have got neither. So it does balance, so the numbers
Yeah.
do work on
Plus
projects
the
like that.
trickle effect to everybody else around there that.
Yep.
I know Kyle asked, or Gary, one of them asked about, is it all of them or just this one?
Yeah.
And you can see the increased sales tax is directly probably in that downtown area related to the increase
Oh, yeah.
of the Pearl Hotel, plus all the VRBOs as well that's in town, so.
So one thing on here, so does the city have to do any funding for this?
Basically, once the annual sales tax receipts, the sales tax statements, we acquire those from the Mississippi Department of Revenue for that particular business. We do the annual review and annual rebate to the developer. And the only thing the city has to do is we calculate the percentage that you establish for that customer once we get these sales tax statements from Department of Revenue on that business. And then we get with your designated accounting folks or CFO, if you will, for the city. We submit the spreadsheet that we work up, doing our calculations based on the percentages that the city has agreed to refund. We send that to your city clerk. I'm not sure how y'all handle that, but each city's a little different. But anyway, the clerk looks at it, verifies the numbers, and then the clerk will cut the check from the city of Bay St. Louis to SMPDD. We'll get that check and act as the intermediary through the tri-party agreement with the city and the developer. Then we turn around and we take out a 10% fee for us for the administration and application. Then the difference, we just cut a check straight to the developer.
And the 10% comes out of their share, or the city has to pay?
It comes out of the check that comes from the city.
To be out of
So
their.
basically out of their share, yeah. They get 90%, we keep the 10% for our admin fee.
Okay, yeah, because one of your little handouts here said commercial redevelopment program utilizes the general fund of the participating municipality. What does that mean?
Right, that's assuming that your sales tax that you receive from the state is deposited in your general funds.
Okay.
Depends on how the city.
That's how we do it.
So it's just the money's in there and then you just basically pass
Right.
through that. Okay.
Correct.
I didn't
But rebating
understand
that portion back
statement.
that came from that business,
Okay,
which is calculated by them.
right, okay.
Anybody else? All right, there's a motion to approve resolution authorizing South Mississippi Planning and Development District to assist and serve as agent for the city of Bay St. Louis to establish a commercial redevelopment revitalization program in the city of Bay St. Louis for vacant and/or blighted properties. The first one is a SMPDD revitalization program resolution template. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Seal. Have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Lewis. Any discussion? Go ahead and vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. The second one is SMPDD redevelopment program PDF.
Is there two? Hold on.
No,
No,
there's
no,
just
there's
one
just
motion.
one motion.
Motion.
Okay.
Just one
yeah.
motion.
Okay, that's just the flyer. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Flyer.
Okay.
Full paperwork.
Thank you.
All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Council business,
Thanks, Ryan.
the Boo Parade thing's back up again. By Josh?
I had to ask you, I thought
not here?
Josh asked for that maybe because Doug wasn't here or,
Uh,
Because
that was the
Councilman
question. I
Reed
asked the
wanted
same
Doug
question.
here to vote
Councilman
on it or
Reed.
whatever.
I don't know if y'all want to table it
Counselor-
again or whatever, but
I'm still in the same position I was before. Everybody else is paying for it. I mean, it changed, before they was lining the parade up, now they want to have a full day's event there. Everybody else that uses the facility is paying we have a complete list of everybody that uses it. They pay their $200 fee and $500 deposit, security deposit. So they were just lining up there. We don't pay Misfits or anybody like that if they're using the depot way only, they don't pay anything. Well, when they start using the grounds, they start using services, they start using trash cans, somebody's gotta clean it up. I'm one vote, and
Well, I
I'll
mean,
continue
I
to
don't
stay.
think there's anything to vote on.
We're given, yes, it changed and it's a great thing, but, everybody else pays their way to use it like they wanna use it.
I just think, I know that y'all have done reduced fees in that before. And I know that y'all say if we have fees, we need to stick to the fees. But I just felt like they should have at least received a reduction or something because they do bring a lot of people.
Yeah, but
into
they're
the
also
area
getting
that
free
day.
portalettes, and they're getting free police protection, and the city services are gonna clean up the streets afterwards. They're getting a lot for free, and that's all on the taxpayer back. And so that's why we set the fees, and it is at a reduced rate there. But that's just, I just don't see a need to go ahead and rehash it again, but.
Nonprofits do, you say? But they're not. They're, yeah, yeah.
Gary, I would think if there's no motion to discuss, it would just kinda die and move
Yeah,
on.
I mean, it
There's
was,
nothing to do.
yeah, it was just nothing to vote on, really.
Yep.
I mean, it's just stick to the fee sheet.
Made a motion.
Well, Josh is not here, so,
It was.
public forum? Oh, we're not finished, hold on. Thank you. Council business, Kyle, you got anything?
Yeah, just briefly. And I spoke with Councilman Hoffman. I got the call from a constituent, but it's in the downtown, so it's his area too. But just something to consider. I think this has been an ongoing trend. I've been getting contacted a couple different times. So it seems like on Main Street, especially a certain time of the day, one of the lanes is being barricaded. And some of the concern is it's very close in proximity to the police station, fire station. What it is these basically lawn services. Instead of pulling in the driveway, they're just pulling up, putting out cones, and that's in the time of day he's having to go get. That's when school's out, main thoroughfare. Concerns with it being that closely located to our emergency services. But it seems like it's instead of just pulling in the driveway, they're just putting cones out there and then blocking up, bottlenecking
Is this in
traffic.
a 300 block or 500?
It would probably, I believe 300. I've had I just got a couple pictures. I think he's calling it in, the dispatch. I mean, I think it's logged, this individual, just because it is causing some backup and issues. So just something to be aware of. And I don't know what with the protocol, but I mean, it seems like they can pull into the home that they're servicing.
We got some that pulls to the corner down there and rides that lawnmower back, but I know
Yeah.
there's one down there that blocks.
But shutting down the main thoroughfare, Main Street.
Chief, can you let patrol officers know if that gets dispatched to go out there and tell those people they cannot put their vehicles in the middle of Main Street? Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Mayor, I know we discussed a couple weeks ago, but on Valentine with the rocks that we're putting in, I know there's of course, a sizable hole that we've got addressed from the utilities, but any progress in getting that? I know we were trying to get that on the project with things getting patched right throughout the city. That one, it seems like it's a ongoing.
I think Jason's gonna touch on that when he, in his, or you want to touch now on it?
We can, if that's addressing your report, we can certainly talk about it then. Okay. And then the last one, I know we've been talking about this for a little while now and trying to get a plan in place. Some of the culverts, especially, I know, of course, Doug, you've got some in Ward 1, Ward 4, we've got many collapsed culverts. I know Jason identified some of the key ones that we want to start with, but where are we at on that process?
I know they went and cut some of the driveways and everything, and as soon as Cruising Coast's over, they'll get back on those two projects there, on Highland Esplanade, and then down on 7th Street Victoria, down that way, and all coming back. But, we did lose Mitch the other day. He retired and everything, which took one of our guys that was, does the digging and the drainage and all the way. So as soon as they get through with Cruising the Coast, they'll get back on those projects. But they
And that's
started
something we're
cutting.
doing internally versus having somebody come in. That's something we're doing internally?
Yeah, for those that, and we'll probably outsource the concrete part of it, repouring of that and everything in the
Okay.
driveway. But they went and started cutting some of the, driveways that's gonna be repaired.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they have some more marked and everything and all, so.
Appreciate the updates. That's all I've got, Councilman Alva.
Councilman Davis?
Good.
Good. Doug?
I don't know. I hadn't been keeping up with, but is the city doing any type of any type of drive for the emergency?
Yeah, we're picking up Fire Station 1, not 100% where we're going with it. There's a lot of people picking up. If we piggyback on with somebody, we
Right.
can do that. We got another, gonna be a huge disaster in Tampa tomorrow, and, I say Tampa, that area of Florida, it's still gonna be a hurricane force as of right now, projected to be a 1 when it's out into the Atlantic Ocean. So it's gonna cross over all the way through Florida as a hurricane through there, and again, we'll see where, but we don't have an exact location, but I know, American Legion has reached out for help, the OLG, I think, Near Reads.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are just doing it, and
Yeah,
people just keep
so
asking
we're,
about.
we're taking up collections and all, if they find a fire department, police department, I know Chief had some connections up that way, both of them and all, and, yeah, so.
Yeah, okay. I know a lot was going on. I'm just trying to, I guess,
Yeah, it's
keeping the
just-
message out, or how, I mean, like I said, a lot of people's collecting stuff, but is there a concerted effort?
Yeah, and it's particular what they need and all, right now.
I think finally in North Carolina, from everything I can see and all, it's, they're starting to get access to a lot of the people and all, and getting supplies into them, so now it's just gonna be a lot of,
Time.
yeah, you know, and same thing, you know, when you think about what they've been through, at least we had access to our city, you know, for Katrina
yeah.
and everything else, and up there, in the mountains, there's no access. They was trying to drop helicopter, you know, down all with, supplies and everything, and some of them, they got to some, but not all. But again,
It's crazy.
it's a mess. Prayers with them.
Yep. I'm a flatlander. After I've been up there, I'm getting on flat ground.
You're gonna have to come up, please. I'm sorry, Miss Cindy.
Just holler out in the meeting.
The information about what y'all are collecting and where to take it and all of that, is that on your website
Yes.
or?
Yeah, it's been on
It's in- I think
social
it was
media,
on the,
website,
City's Facebook page. I think
Yeah.
I saw it there.
City Face-
Thank you.
fire department, I think, has it out, police as well.
Okay,
I do.
is that all you have, Mr. Seals?
Yes, that's it.
I don't have anything for today, other than I hope everybody has a safe, cruising, and congratulate King Jason and Queen Heather.
Thank you.
That's gonna be a fun time. Okay, moving on, let's see what we got here. Public forum, let's see, Tad Black.
Thank you. Ted Black, 211 7th Street, Bay St. Louis. Gentlemen, and lady, several months ago, the council was discussing about the portable buildings, accessory buildings, and those types of things. Well, I'm telling you right now, they're bombarded. I don't know if you realize it, but they have a portable building in Wave. Lady's even advertising on Facebook. She's got a 12-foot wide building. If she needs somebody to take the fence down, we can get it in. In Bay St. Louis. Y'all talked about, could y'all do anything? Heard the mayor chime in, yeah, we need to do something about it. Well, guess what? I read in your code book. All right, your book. Section 407, 407-2-E-5. Unless allowed by special exception, no portable storage container shall have dimension greater than 16 feet in length, 8 feet in width, and 8 1/2 feet in height. Anything after that has to go through a special exception. It has to go through the planning and zoning, has to go through the city council. Well, after doing some research, and actually having to spend some of my money to prove the research, these portable buildings are being permitted. You now have, and I'm not going around looking for them. I'm just driving by and saying, wow, there's another one. You have 403 Estabrook, 634 Union Street, 203 7th Street, and 411 Ballantyne. Now, the Ballantyne thing is coming back for the third time. Do y'all know that it's been permitted? That building was permitted?
Is that true, Mr. Burke? I mean, you're over planning and zoning, y'all permitting that?
We didn't, it's not residential or anything. A structure, yes.
So you're talking, they're exceeding the 8 by 16?
Yeah. All you gotta do is run around and look at them. I just gave you the addresses. And none of them have come before the planning and zoning,
So
but they've been permitted.
what's the
How does that
process,
happen?
Jeremy, when they, are they bringing engineered plans on these things like I had to do? I mean, it's like the ones they're selling at Lowe's and Home Depot.
Accessory structures we're talking about, shed, not,
Portable building.
so accessory structures, what we call them. They can't be more than 50% of your primary.
No, what he said out of that thing.
Go to page
because
38.
Charlene
Unless
was very
allowed by
adamant
special
about that.
exception, no
I had-
portable storage container shall have the dimensions greater than 16 feet in length, 8 feet in width, and 8 1/2 feet high.
They're not portable ones, like your shed, if you get them, people put them on slabs, they strap them down, whatever else,
Yeah, mine was
Well,
strapped.
If you go back to 407, it talks about every kind of little different portable thing.
and stuff like that. That's a portable,
Go ahead and speak in the mic, Jeremy.
I'll go look at it tomorrow, but accessory structures is what we do.
So
We never,
t-
those,
Tell me
those,
what an
like,
accessory structure
so
is.
a shed,
So if I go to,
let's say-
if I go to,
I'm gonna say Lowe's, those do not generally meet the Winlows, but let's just say
right.
Lowe's. You do move it to your house, but you're not putting it on wheels, whatever else. It's coming off, it's on a slab, it's not a portable building. You see what I'm saying?
When they strap it down, I
Yeah.
think what they're saying is it's a permanent structure that meets all wind loads, codes, and ordinances and everything.
And what's the current wind load in the bay?
140.
I thought it was 160. It's 140?
I'm not building.
40. I think it's 40.
150, whatever it is.
150.
Whatever the current wind load is.
So,
Why is this happening?
I don't know, I mean, I was asking.
I mean,
is the
he's saying accessory, it's a portable building. It came in on a truck. It's
That's an
portable.
accessory dwelling or a shed? I mean, what's y'all's definition? What do you,
Except
I mean, when I think of accessory dwelling, I mean, you get a contractor,
No,
he brings in a,
you live in it.
what's
The
that?
Accessory structure being your shed, your workshop.
But I think what
So when you're, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Lynn.
whenever you're saying portable, you're saying movable, so they have,
But they're not movable anymore when they're strapped down or mounted
their-
down to the slab, is what makes it an accessory structure, not
Please
a,
look up in Webster what portable building.
you know.
The bottom line is, it's wrong. I don't know what's happening, why it's happening. But we've got 4 new ones. Well, the old one over in Estabrook, but that's from January according to the permit. It wasn't put in till later on. I actually saw it in June. But I did pay money to look at the permit. And so then I go back to this and saying, why are they being permitted? Because they are above the size that the ordinance says we should have without
Mr.
being-
Black,
Yes.
with all due respect, I think you're talking about 107.2 E5, correct?
407.
407 to E5, which is talking about portable storage containers that are loaded with materials and used on property for the purpose of storing materials and permitted in the zone subject to the following conditions.
Yeah.
That is portable storage containers.
And when I got my portable building back in '04, got the permit, they made sure it was 5 feet from the property lines, and guess what I store in it? Stuff. It's a portable building. They brought it in with a record truck from Gulfport.
So I'd just like to say, I think when he started this, the definition that he originally said and what it says in the zoning book is just, it's different.
Didn't you
And
tell
so
me you
this
went
is
by
talking
book
about
6 months ago?
special
Counselor
exception.
Smith, didn't you tell me you went by this book?
I'm reading out of this book,
Right.
Mr.
And
Black.
doesn't this book
And you're
say that
talking-
anything above that you have to go through special exception? Isn't that what
It's
it
not
says?
a portable storage unit, it's an accessory structure.
You're gonna tell me that it's hauled in on a truck, it's not portable?
It's
Y'all better go read the definition.
This is, I mean, this is talking
portable
about.
something that goes in
I'm
and
just
out.
saying-
This
I'm
is
asking the
talking
council.
about construction. Council, you are more than welcome, but this is talking about portable storage containers that are used on construction sites. This is talking about a 30-day permit shall cost $25. A 30-day extension can be
No, I think what he
requested.
was talking about was,
It's
I
part
get what
of
he's
it.
talking about,
It gives
Gary,
you a list
but
of everything, whether it's temporary, whether it's construction, the whole 407 talks about it. But then when it gets to the last one, it says, if anything is bigger than those numbers, you gotta go through a special exception. That means go to the planning and zoning and go to the council. That's what that language was there for.
Well, they can bring lumber in on a trailer and drop it off too, does that make it portable?
No, not.
he's just, I mean,
not when
he's
they- come
twisting
on,
words
come on, Mayor.
that don't,
Don't be
that's not what the
ridiculous.
zoning
Bring
ordinance
in lumber on the
says.
truck, you're building a house, how you gonna get it there? One 2x4 at a time?
They built this here,
Look,
and they brought it in.
the bottom line
strapped
is, we
down.
got these
It's a
accessory
permanent
buildings coming in
structure.
here that I think they're violating the code. And apparently the mayor and his building department are giving these permits and saying it's okay. Now, the mayor, stepdaughter just got one 2 weeks ago, and guess what's in it? Stuff.
It's permanent.
That's what I know. It's permitted. That's right. It's permitted.
Permanent structure.
And by this,
Strapped
that
down.
building shouldn't have been permitted. It should have came through the planning and zoning and city council. Now I know why it's
Council?
happening.
Again, the zoning ordinance that Mr. Black is citing is not referencing storage building. Was Estherbrook, Selena LeBlanc.
So do
Two
we have
separate
max
things.
dimensions on storage structures?
So I understand what he's
It's-
saying, because that's just your regular garden shed, keep your lawn.
I keep my lawnmowers, my weed eaters in it, so if I wanna go out there and make a dwelling out of it, make a man cave, right? 'Cause there ain't no woman in my house, so I'll make a man cave. So then it becomes a dwelling, not accessory structure. What's the difference? You take it, you make it a studio, or you make it a shed to hold your tools in. It's the same building that got brought in on a motorized vehicle. It's portable. And look, just because it's tied down, I'll give you a prime example. Now Lifetime Portables, the one I bought mine from, is no longer in business. They were on 49. All I had to do was pay them. They got the permit, the man came out and measured it to make sure it was 5 feet off the property line before he even set the building down, right? So there is no, in my mind, there's no difference between a building just because that I'm gonna make a studio out of it. It's not classified as a portable building.
Okay, actually, 302.114 is the definition of a portable storage container, a portable weather-resistant receptacle designed and used for the storage or shipment of household goods, wares, building materials, or merchandise, and then that's where it goes into the length. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about number 5. It gives temporary, you gotta put them on concrete, you gotta get a permit every 30 days, that's because it's construction sites, right? The bottom line, well, show me in this book where accessory portable buildings are listed and talked about. There's not. My point is that we need to get a hold on this. Now, I can't verify it, but the one on Union Street, I'm pretty sure somebody's living in it. Because every time I go by down, there's a car parked right by the front door of the building, and it's been put right on the property line, it's not 5 foot off the property line. Now, like I said, these are being permitted, y'all complained about it, well, if y'all don't do something about it, it's gonna get worse. And I don't care if you call it a studio, a 3rd bedroom for Valentine Street. Now, she's the one that actually went through the process and trying to do it legal, right? And she's being turned down. But all these other people just go and get it done. I don't understand that. This girl has to, and I'm against her doing it. But she has been up here for the 3rd time. She's coming on October 9th. And yet these other people get to do the same thing.
Wait, they brought an accessory structure, she's asking for accessory residence.
Dwelling.
Well, is a studio a residence? Is it a dwelling? A studio that you can go sit in and listen to music because it's got electricity? What is that called? Bottom line is we got a problem. And apparently the mayor and his administration don't want to fix it, so I'm asking the city council to fix it. If there's misunderstanding about this language, then clarify it. But far as I'm concerned, you got what it takes. Now, if y'all just want these accessory buildings start popping up all over in our neighborhood, they got a place down in Waveland selling them, besides Lowe's, they need to know what the restrictions are. Like I said, when I bought mine, they took care of the permit, they made sure it was 5 foot off the property line, and did the whole bit. All I did was write the check, right? Well, when you start advertising on Facebook, that I need somebody to take my fence down where I can get a 12-foot building into my backyard, we got a problem. And it needs to be getting hold of, or they'll be up in everybody's. Matter of fact, I may even put one on my driveway, like the one on 403 Estherbrook, just for the hell of it, and I'll call it my man cave, and then we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Just, I guess, just for future reference, just make sure that they're not grabbing loopholes and putting something in, and then it's not what it was supposed to be. I mean, that's what you have an inspection process for.
As we talk about the one on Estherbrook, since it was brought up again, it is 5 feet off the property line. There's no one living in it.
Go ahead, speak into the mic, Mike.
She goes out there and does her work, the things she makes and everything, but no one's living in that structure. It is an accessory structure, not a dwelling. And it keeps getting brought up, this household, and time again, and, you know, again, if setbacks are met, it doesn't increase the more than 50% of whatever it is of the property or anything, like it's been said before, and it's not even close to that. So,
Next one, let's see, Ronnie already came. Kevin? Gardeman?
Good evening. I am a resident of Valentine Street, and I've been trying to get some resolve to a main sewer collapse that has been going on for over 6 months. I've tried to get in touch with this man last week 3 different times. He was never in his office. I left messages for him to contact me. He never contacted me. He was coming down Valentine as I was going home to my place. He got to the stop sign. I waved at him. I don't think he saw me. So he made the turn at the next stop sign. I pulled up alongside of him, rolled down my window, and said, I've been trying to get in touch with you. You were supposed to call me, meet with me. He drove past my house that day, did not call, did not stop. As we were having our little discussion side by side, I asked him, I said, what's going on? You're the mayor. He said, well, let me get in touch with my contractor. I said, I don't want to answer from the contractor. What's going on? You're the mayor. I said, we need something done. If something is not done soon, I'm going to go to the news channel.
So,
I have to finish.
Yeah.
At that, the last words from him were, because I was going to take it to the news, do what you got to do, mother F. That's our mayor.
I'd like to address this. He ran 2 stop signs, one
I
at
did not run
Washington
a
Street.
stop sign.
He's lying.
Hold on.
He's lying.
You're the lying mother F.
There he goes again. So he ran a stop sign. When I come through Washington, I get to Sycamore by the Arts. I stop there. I go to take off from there. He runs that stop sign on my left side and goes to cut me off and all this. And I hit my brakes. I rolled my window. I have no idea who this man is. Yes, I passed by his house a few times looking at this project. I passed by, and then he started. You get your effing ass back to my house now and get out of your truck and go. And he ranting and raving. That man's on the phone I'm with. I tried to tell him I'm waiting on Ronnie to get out of a meeting. I don't want to talk to effing Ronnie. I don't want to talk to effing nobody. You get your effing back to my house. I said, I'm on the phone with the engineer right now, and he's trying to look at this through a video that we did for the ARPA funds, and I don't want to effing talk to your engineer and effing this and effing that. That's the road rage he had.
Oh, hold on,
Jason.
Started this all May 24th when I talked to Ronnie for the first time. This had been going on way before that. I got lip service from Ronnie. Takes a long time. I said, it's been over 6 months. What are you doing? People had been out. They'd measured. The city had been out. They said, it's a big job. We got to contract it out. Okay. Well, it's been going on. They've come out. They put rock in the road.
Hold on.
And
one
that's
second.
it.
So is there a solution to fixing the sewer?
There is, and Jason's trying to put it together through the ARPA funds to go in and do a point repair there. We have other point repairs, and that's what the solution is.
Jason, how long do you think it'll take to get that put together?
So we're about finished with the design. We are looking at maybe pull this out individually. The problem with the ARPA is we still have to bid it out. Anything over $25,000, if they're federal funds, they have to be bid out. So even if we go in and do an individual repair at this point, we still have to bid it out separately. So
It's under federal procurement, not.
yeah, and that's in the grant agreement that the city signed with DEQ. So in my opinion, it's better to wait and do all the repairs at once, so we're not overspending on just one repair. And the issue is there's a hole in the top of the sewer line. I think it's about an 18-inch sewer pipe. There's a tap that's crushed on the top part of it, so it's letting a lot of dirt and sediment wash in. So right now, the temporary fix is to keep the road from washing in, put the rocks back in place so it's drivable and passable while we work on getting the final contract ready to bid out for the repair.
And how long do you think that'll take to bid out? Wait. Just please.
So probably within about 2 or 3 weeks, we should have the final ARPA project, the phase 2, ready to bid out. And this is included as a point repair as part of that contract. So that's our recommendation, is to go ahead and do it all together, all at once. We get a better price from that standpoint as opposed to breaking this out as a separate project.
Mr. Gardemore, just be patient a little longer. We have to do this process of bidding stuff out. I understand.
If this was in front of his house, I'm sure it would've been done.
I understand. I apologize that it's not moving fast enough for you.
Well, can they get the damn street sweeper out to clean up some of this? Or rather than filling with rocks and make more humps, level it out and do something more drivable. This is crazy.
Is there anything that y'all can do to just,
They go out there on a regular basis, make sure it's filled in, this and that, try to keep it over. With vehicle running over, it's gonna spread out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not doing it.
but I
It's
mean,
like
again,
putting the
it's-
lipstick on a
it-
pig.
well, like I
Yeah.
said, Ms. Keneshi's gonna put out some bids and tie it in. And they're extremely strict with the use of the money that we can use for the sewer. We have it, but we have to follow a procedure through the state, in order to spend these funds. But it will get fixed, it's just not gonna happen fast enough.
Well, the city has the money. Why can't they spend the money up front and then get reimbursed from these grants that they're getting?
Because you have to follow procedure,
Because
otherwise it gets
It
disqualified.
doesn't work like that for this grant we have.
But you had mentioned something earlier about kind of the same thing.
So if this
You
one
know,
related
Pay
to
for
the,
something and then get reimbursed.
It's a different grant program.
There's probably there's dozens of different types of grants that we try to grab money from, but they assign specific projects and can only be used for certain things. Like if we get Tidelands funds, it can only be, say, used for the harbor or something, if it's designated for that. Or this ARPA money can only be used for sewer improvements. That's what we are using with these ARP monies, American
So
Recovery
how long
Act.
does it take to get this?
Well, we have the money, we just have to,
Well, then
he has
spend
to
it.
bid it out,
You
he
have
has to do.
It has to follow federal procurement.
So what's the next step?
That's
He's-
exactly what Jason said.
Exactly what he said.
He says he's going to, he's putting together the final plan, he's gonna prepare to go out for bid, it's got a bid problem, it's gotta be advertised, what, 2 or 3 weeks or
2
so?
weeks.
Twice, okay, in a 2-week period, right, but he's also tying in other projects with it, so that we're getting the better bang for our dollars, cause we only have a limited amount of money for that.
and with this being tied to the sewer, that would fall under the ARPA, right? So if it was just an road erosion, we could have been done by now, but because it's tied to the sewer line and there might be underlying issues, you don't wanna go and pave it. And then if it is
Oh,
a
no, they
sewer line.
told me it's, it's deep.
Yeah.
They said,
Yeah.
it's more than the city can handle. They have to contract it out. Well, I've been hearing that. Well, then why is the city letting it get like this? What are they waiting for? Why don't they do repair when they need a repair done, rather than letting it all pile up at one time, and then tear up the whole city?
It just addressed the council. So I can tell you that, because up until a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we didn't even have these funds. So, I mean, these funds just came up kind of as like a gift. And so we're using it to do these sewer repairs. It's expensive to plan them. We're trying to tie some of these funds with the county. And we're actually bringing all these funds together so that everybody can pool their monies, and so to speak, and tie projects in. I do know that's occurring, and matter of fact, that I believe one on Ramonita is another big sewer project that's going. They're happening, it's just not happening fast enough, and most people don't see it. And even the mayor said a while back that we're going to spend millions of dollars on this, but nobody's actually going to see it because it's going to be on the ground. But keep in mind
Well,
that
the neighbors on that block see it.
I don't understand. But like I said, Jason is working on it.
All right, thank you,
They're
Jason.
coming. So
All right, thank
I just
you.
ask you to be
Yeah.
patient for a little longer, and we'll keep informed on it.
I wanna answer that too, one time he called, I was on his street looking at this hole, is when he went road rage down there that day, screaming and yelling and running stop signs and trying to cut me off in the road.
That's a bunch of crap.
You a lying.
All right, hey, that's enough. That's enough. So next one, Brent Carver.
That's a hard act to follow there. I'm here to talk about my flooding issue with my neighbors next door. Last time I was here in the city council meeting, nothing happened. And with that bad storm, I flooded pretty bad. I'm having trouble with my house sinking. I called the contractor to come over and give me an evaluation of the price of how much it costs to lift my structure because that's about my only recourse. And, I went to the city, I think I talked to you, Mr. Mayor, about it, about them, filling up that ditches whenever they had no drainage to the ditches. Everything was relying on my little pump, to pump everything out, 3 properties. I was told that, there was a moratorium on the filling in the ditches, and I was told by Ricky, and I think you, it might not have been you, it might have been, the public works guy, but I was told by 2 of y'all that, oh, don't worry about it, they won't be able to cover up those ditches. So I was against them covering up the ditches until the flooding issue was taken, and now, just a couple days ago, they covered up those ditches and, they brought in a load of dirt, no, 2 loads of dirt immediately. And then when I went home today, there was another load of dirt there, and before I left for this meeting, there was another load of dirt. They already have so much dirt on that property, and, the contractor's not being held accountable for it. The city is definitely not holding them accountable because once that storm came, everything pulled in his property, didn't go to the road, and it went around his, chain wall and ran around the back and flooded my property again. And now it's at the point to where I'm sheetrock cracking and I'm having issues to where I have to get something done because it's been, I think 1 year and 2 months they started that project, and there was only one time when they took care of their flood water, and that was whenever they were digging that retaining wall. It rained then, and everything drained out the hole they had for the retaining wall to the ditch, like I mentioned to you before. And other than that, that's the only time that I didn't flood. And of course, the property owner on the other side says the same thing about the water coming around his wall and going on his property. And once it fills up the low spot on his property, all the way around to mine, I'm accruing damages every time it rains. And there were 6 major rain events that was pretty bad that I documented all this. And I went and got legal advice, and I kind of presented everything. Of course, I applied for all the information they had for the flood plan, the initial flood plan, and they gave me papers with drawing on it how there's going to be a swell ditch all the way around the property. And I told Ricky, I was like, Mr. Ricky, they didn't enact any of that flood plan. And he said, well, that's at the end. The end they were supposed to do that before they did the chain wall. It's like, well, they were responsible.
Chain wall was never a factor until when you started talking about, there was in the plans was supposed to be a swale all the way as property. Backside, everything, all the way from the back to the sides to the front. That was originally what was in the drawing. You started complaining about the water coming on your property and all the silt fence, and one of those heavy rains got knocked down and all. I think dirt and clay ended up in the yard. Started complaining about this. This guy spent a lot of money when he got engineering and everything to put a chain wall up. You didn't want to wait for it to be finished to put the swale in, put the chain wall up around all the way around the property. He's got it notched out over there, I think on about 2 or 3 cluster of trees. He's saying that, where the water's coming down on the other side of the house and going back, but I can't say it is or it's not. I've never been there. I've rode through there in the rain just looking at everything, but hadn't got back to see if water's actually going uphill, going back to his property and coming back around. Again, I think the solution is this guy's property was here and everybody dumped on him, and of course when he built his house, everybody else is flooding, because their property ran through this yard, which, again, you're responsible for your own water. I think Josh came out there today and had the same conclusion that everybody else that's been there shooting grade and everything. You got a slab in your front yard and a hill, and your front yard's higher than your backyard, and water's not allowed to come out. If you can go in and put your swale on the property line right down his wall, it would get the water out, your water out from you to the ditch.
My water out and the 2 properties next to me's water out, right?
No, his is going to the front as far as I know.
Oh, well, that's where you're wrong. It's not.
Well, I haven't seen the water on the other side of the house going uphill to the backyard, then back around and then flood and brim, because he's got a pump over there that he's trying to do, to get water out. But I think the thing is to put the swale in on your property and worry about your own water, and at the back of his, You could even go in there and put a berm up there to keep water from the other neighbor over there in the back where that fence is, water from coming in your yard.
Well, let me ask you
You know?
this. When you have a structure and you build a structure, are you responsible for your rainwater and
You're
your runoff
responsible
from
for
day
your
one?
own water.
From day
just-
one?
From just like your water, you're responsible from your water to go to the street, not on through the neighbor's yard to get to the street.
My water is taken care of with a pump that won't keep up 3 properties. I'd have to have a really big pump for that. But another thing is, all that water, because of the construction, all that water that initially, you know what, I got a video that I'll show everybody here. I got a video when I flooded out real bad, the worst time I flooded, and everything on that property, none of it flooded to the front, everything flooded to the back. But he's supposed to be responsible for his rainwater
Correct.
from day one. Or not just whenever I get, hey, this is our buddy, you know, don't worry about him. You just take care of everybody's rainwater, and then eventually they'll do something. That ain't how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be responsible for your rainwater from day one, and I have proof, photographic proof, and videos that didn't happen. And you keep taking up for this contract.
I'm not taking up, I'm just stating fact that this lot was the dumping ground for everybody else's water in this neighborhood on both sides of them and the back. And he came in, and the initial plan was, in his drawings and everything, was to put a swale completely around his property.
Mike, can you explain what a swale is?
A swale is just a shallow out ditch. It's not an actual deep ditch or anything. It's just a little, might be 2 or 3 inches, where water flow from front to back, and that was in the drawing, initial plan.
2 or 3
But
inches would
again,
do it.
with the complaints and all coming in, and he didn't, and again, his yard wasn't finished and this and that and everything, and the house and all, that he just went and got engineering, and it's been done on numerous pieces of property where he's got a chain wall all the way around his property, probably 2 feet in the ground, 2 feet up. So water don't go up underneath this and that, and it will flow to the front.
So it doesn't go underneath. There's nothing on the bottom. It's a vertical chain wall. Nothing
about
on the
2
bottom.
feet
It's
in the
like-
ground.
It's like a pool with no bottom. But all that water from day one has been coming flooding me out. And when am I supposed to be able to gripe about the water going under my house? I mean, I was griping about it from day one. You're saying, well, look, this guy's just griping about all of this water going over there, and he spent X amount of dollars, so I guess he hit the limit. So once you get to that point, you're exempt from having.
No,
this
he's not
exemption.
exempt from anything, but I think he's taking care of his water.
But it sounds
He's
like
not taking. I'm telling you, he's
and
not
Brent-
taking care of his water, Mr. Mayor.
And it sounds like the engineer, I mean, again, going back to the engineer, I mean, just because you have in theory, this would work, in all actuality, it looks like it's exacerbated the issue. Now, Brent, yeah, I will agree. I mean, you put in those pumps from the early on. Now, it is capturing, and the issue, though, too, I believe there's some correspondence from the building department say, well, you're just going to have to get better commercial grade pumps. I don't think
No,
that
I don't
should be
think that's
Brent-
the answer neither. I
It
don't think
shouldn't be
that's
Brent's
right.
burden to bear.
My answer would be dig a swale along the
Yeah.
property
have
line.
Dig a swale, dig up my sewer,
Yeah,
my
you have
fiber optic
utility.
How
cable,
shallow
my
is
water,
your
and my
sewer?
gas.
How shallow is your sewer there?
Well, my sewer's probably deep at the end, but I'm not. I don't remember how deep my sewer is, but I got gas, fiber optic, and power, and
But it's
sewer.
gotta be more than a few inches underground to dig that swale.
I tell you what, for one thing, I showed him whenever he was over there. I know for some reason you tied him with this contractor, but
No,
he-
no, wait, see, that's not true at all. I wouldn't know him if he walked in this door right now.
Oh, well, that-
Don't say I'm tied into somebody and you don't know, because that's a bald-faced lie too.
Well, the thing is, how are you saying that his water is running like it's supposed to whenever I've been telling
Because
you
I've
from day
been by
one.
there, he's got a chain wall, unless the water's that deep, because he's got about that much room from his dirt to the top of that wall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it's going to the front.
It's flooding in the back, and it's filling up to a
The
certain
back
point.
is not, the back is coming from the other neighbors over there, coming along the back of his concrete, upright.
That wasn't the back I was talking about, but the back of that property, once the rain comes in, it fills up because it has nowhere to go because of the chain wall. It fills up in the inside, and once it gets to a certain point, any additional rains is taking the path of least resistance around the other side and around the back, and it's going straight to my property.
Well, I think that's what he's bringing dirt in to get it all level, so everything inside that chain wall will float out.
See, like dirt has been the enemy since day one, and nothing
Look.
has ever been sloped to the road to go to that ditch, and then y'all let him cover up the ditch. So
Well,
now,
everybody, okay, so covering up the ditch is allowed with engineering, planning, drawing and everything.
well, I was told
Thank-
there was I don't really know what a
There was,
moratorium
way
is.
back, there was a moratorium on it.
Whatever it is.
But that is not there, and you can have it done with engineering stamp.
And put pipes on the ground.
And do it, you gotta have the inlets and everything else, which he's got all that. You know, the houses across the street's closed in, both sides of the neighbors closed in, with the exception of about 10 feet from you. Down the road is closed in, it's a hit and miss deal, what's closed in and what's not closed in. You know,
The initial flood plan didn't have any kind of plan to expel his rainwater runoff.
it did, it had a swale.
Well, Ricky told me that was the plan at the end, to do the plan. That
The
wasn't from day
swale
one.
at the end, when it was all done, was to have a swale.
Yeah, at
How
the
far
end.
away is he from getting to the swale?
He's not, because he put a chain wall to contain all his water to run to the front.
Well, what I'm saying is, the swell that was called for, the plan. or
You
whatever,
saying he should have, he should have had something to where that swale ran from the beginning.
Well, from day one, Mr. Mayor, look, I'm not a terrible guy to
No,
deal with.
you're not.
I went to this guy, which I talked to him. I seen him over there. I talked to him. We were pretty friendly, I thought. And I talked to him, and laughed and joked with him. And when I'd see him over there, I'd go over there and just kind of touch base with him. And whenever I flooded the first time, I didn't get mad. I was upset that it happened, but I'm like, all the contractors I work with, I should be able to work with him easily. So I mentioned to him, I was like, look, man, I'm getting water. You're gonna have to do something over there. And then, of course, he was saying, well, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm like, well, look, man, you're responsible. He acted like he didn't even know. I said, you're responsible for your runoff water since from day one of this project you're starting. And, I gave it a little time thinking something would happen. And the second time I flooded, I saw him leaving from over there, and he went to, I guess, his vacation home or whatever, St. Charles. And I confronted him in the backyard. I said, look, man, you're going to have to do something. And he goes, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm in the talks with engineers for putting up a chain wall. I said, I don't care about all of that. You're flooding me right now. And then the third time, which I have videos, which I want to show you before you leave. I have videos proving that everything around that, nothing drained to the road. And it flooded me really bad. And then I went and talked to him about that. And then the third time when I flooded, I went and talked to, I got legal advice, and they told me to write everything up in a certified letter and send it to him, and that's what I did. And I went back and got more legal advice on this, and I'm being told that through the laws, you can't block natural drainage of any water that flows on that any water that changes the natural flow of the water onto anybody else's property, causing damage. I forget the wording of it, but there's a law against that. So I mean, I have a case, and I didn't want it to come to this, but I mean, nobody's doing anything for me. And now I've accrued expenses because I have to lift my house. I'm having sinking problems on my house because my house is flooded during Katrina. And after that, before I had the house, my brother-in-law and my sister, they had the house leveled, to where it was okay. I mean, it's an old house, it wasn't perfectly level, but it was leveled pretty good. And now, with all of this continued flooding, my house is sinking. I'm having cracks in the door. And here, just recently, I had a problem with my refrigerator door not shutting. When you push it, you have to lift up on the door to close it. Didn't think nothing of it until my wife said, do you think that's from the house foundation sinking? And I started thinking, you know what? That probably is. So I'm having that, and the baseboard coming loose. I mean, I'm having all kind of problems. I went just yesterday and talked to a house leveling company to come over and assess how much it would cost me to lift my house, and I was going to bring in some more dirt to try to combat this. Of course, I got suckered because I told them exactly what I wanted, and when they get there, they said, well, they don't lift houses, but we can do this and that and this and that. So anyway, I'm still in the process of finding somebody to lift my house.
Well, Mr. Brent, would it be helpful if you cut your own swale as best you could from wherever it goes where your pump is to?
But if I cut my own swale, I mean, I'd have to drain those three properties with my swale, and then I would have a swale ditch right in my yard where we walk, and my son drives the golf cart in the yard.
Maybe even if you didn't even do that, put like maybe 12-inch pipe down there with some French
Well,
drains.
well, what I did is
Get that
all
water.
of my water is being taken care of with my pump. I've taken it keeps up with my water and some of the water coming in from the neighboring properties, which I shouldn't be responsible for. But it's getting my water, that water, and once you add the third property with water, it's just too overwhelming. So I can't. I mean, I guess I could put it in a swell ditch and you know dig up all my utilities or whatever and try to figure out how to make it work.
I guess
put it in
my
that
point
ditch, but I
is
got to be
that-
responsible for 3 properties.
Well, no, but that
No,
would be
you shouldn't.
cheaper than raising the house.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to do something with the house now because the house is sinking. So if I'm gonna get it leveled, I think they gotta pick it up to reset my piers, which I'm assuming. If they gotta pick it up to reset my piers, I'm just like, well, if they picking it up 6 inches, why not pick it up a few more inches? And then I could put dirt under there. And I feel like that, if I can get dirt under that house, I feel like that's probably gonna be the best thing for me. I wish I could lift that thing sky high like they let that property over there go lift it so high. I wish I could lift it sky high and just put mounds of dirt and make a mountain over my property like they did there. But they brought in so much dirt, it's really ridiculous. There's no property that I see in Bay St. Louis or Waveland that were allowed to bring that much dirt in and cause this much issue. And the thing is, it's like Ricky told me that it was well, he was able to do that. It's not in a flood zone. And well, it's not in a flood zone, but why were they required to drive pilings before they put the foundation down? I mean, if it was sinking that bad and it was that much of a low area, why were they required to drive pilings? They're the only ones over there that drove pilings. I mean, they knew it was in a low area, and they're supposed to address the area to where to make sure that you don't run your rainwater off on neighboring properties or obstruct natural water flow, and they did that. I mean, from what I can see, they broke these laws, and the city let them do it to break these laws to flood me out. I mean, if you were to come up with a plan to sabotage my property, you would do the exact same thing they did. And I mean, you know, Kyle knows I've been over here talking about this forever since they started, and nobody is lifting a finger. And I'm really disappointed, man. I love Bay St. Louis. Other than my time in the military, I've been here my whole life. I'm a 3rd-generation resident. I've been here. I'm a lifelong resident, and I'm proud of Bay St. Louis. But you know, now I have no confidence that you know they're going to help the little guy. I feel like you know this guy's more prestigious, so you know he's getting a pass on everything. And just like Mr. Mayor said, you know, he's like, well, my understanding is everything's draining to the road. I've been saying forever that nothing's draining to the road. From day one, nothing's drained to the road, and you know, just not hearing me and just taking this. Just I'm the little guy. So I'm just really irate about this. I'm really mad, and that's all I think about. And you know, that was my grandmother's house. I pretty much grew up there. That's where I want to live, and it just making it miserable. And now I have all these added expenses that I'm gonna have to get legal representation for because really the city let me down. Is what it boils down to, and that's the way I feel. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but that's the way I feel.
too, you know, but.
So, I mean, but his water is leaching over here like he's saying? I mean, can the city do anything about that?
About what?
About him not controlling his water?
I think it is going to the front now. You know, again, we have no evidence showing where it's going over the back wall, going into that property,
Oh no, it's not going over the back wall.
you know?
So,
And the other side of the house, he's saying it's running uphill, going to the backyard, then over there to
Brad,
his property.
see your
Which I can
glass?
believe if it gets to the backyard, it'll get to his property because the lot behind his chain wall, they have what, 10 foot back there? Maybe?
I would say
And a
close.
chain link fence, something like that. And this lot, I think it goes with the house on the other side
It
of
does.
his house. He's got a big L-shaped yard, and it's a bowl back there. It's a huge bowl.
It's more of a bowl now since they did the construction
know?
because they dug dirt out there and pulled it into the property before they built it. So now it is really low, which gives me a little bit of time because if the rain's not too bad, it only fills that right around the chain wall, and it fills that up. And if it's you know any more, then that's when it starts running to my property.
Mr. Carver, can I suggest something to you?
Yes, sir.
Since you have these videos, why don't you make a disc and bring them to the mayor's office so that they can see what you're seeing? Make a copy of them.
I can send it in. making
send 'em-
discs,
You can
I
just send
mean,
'em to
you're, I'm
email.
not a,
You want
Yeah,
just
you can
email.
email 'em.
Just
Yeah.
email 'em.
And that way, they can see how the water's flowing during the rain, and
Mhm.
perhaps that'll prove your thing, and maybe they can do something, to talk to the contractor about, hey, control your water, or dig your swale, whatever.
before I leave here, I can go ahead and pull that video up and send it to each one of y'all, so y'all can see what I'm dealing with. But,
Brent, why
I,
don't you-
I never said the water was going uphill. I never said that.
Hmm.
But, the water is draining to the lowest point. Once it picks up in the backyard, once it, swells up, it goes around that wall,
Yeah, you
which
wanna
is
go-
still going downhill,
You
not
got
going
time
uphill.
tomorrow, one day, go look at that?
I'm
Brent,
good.
just send
I'm
me
pretty
the,
easy
send me
this
the
week.
video and I'll get it to the mayor and then get the rest of the council.
I
so they
don't
don't have to
want
worry
Thank
about
you,
it.
thank you. Making a disc and all is probably.
Well, I'll tell you what,
out of my
Mr. Carver,
wheelhouse.
I'll go with the mayor, go look at it.
Can you let me know when you're coming? Because, I would really like
Yeah,
to be there.
I have your,
And like I told Mr. Mayor that, the last city council meeting I was at, when he was talking about coming, I was telling Mr. Mayor to let me know when you come. I will take off of work to show up.
If y'all let me know as well. I've just
Okay.
got some stuff in the morning.
can you come up and just give me your phone number? You don't have to say
I
it.
got it, I'll send it to
I
you.
got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I'll share it.
He
with you.
has it.
I got it.
I'll get
Yeah,
it
if you
from
get me
Kyle.
that video, then I'll get that to the mayor and get that to the rest of the council as well.
All right, let me see if I touched on everything I wanted to talk about. Another thing is that, the law that says you can't divert, you can't do any construction or, upgrades to your property that diverts water and, causes damage to other properties. I mean, that's a law that should have been enacted. I mean, that, they should have been taking that into consideration from day one. And like the mayor said, I wanna say this again. He didn't do anything for his, water runoff since day one, so that's I think it's a year and 2 months or better that this has been going on. He's never done anything, and if he was any kind of contractor in my eyes, he'd have been knocking on my door, apologizing to me and asking how he can make it right, and he's never done that.
Right.
And I initially, I thought, we could possibly be buddies and stuff, the way I was thinking, but now, I have no confidence in his
Well, what we'll
ability.
do is, if you can just, we'll get with you and
Yes,
next,
sir.
next day or so, and we'll figure out something, go take a look.
Yes, sir, let me know, and I will gladly take off and make sure I'm there to,
See if Ronnie's got they went over there and shot grade.
Topos,
about the
topo.
whole thing. I'll see if they still have those numbers for grade.
Okay. All right, so,
and I've already got plans to do things myself. I want them to take care of their own water and let me deal with the rest. I can take care of mine, but I shouldn't be held responsible for the water that he caused to be diverted to my property and his water runoff. I shouldn't be responsible for that. I've been dealing with that for, over a year and 2 months, I would say.
we'll see what we can do.
Thank you, sir, and, thank you for hearing me.
My pleasure. Let's see. Project updates, Jason.
Alrighty, so we have one project that we received bids on. You should have our recommendation in the bid tabulation. This is for Sunset Sewer Improvement, just to replace a very old steel line and upsize it from an 8-inch to a 10-inch. There's a GOMESA grant associated with this, and we can also use ARPA funds or, modernization funds, I think was another eligible cost. We just received one bid from bottom to top. We evaluated the bid. We do recommend awarding this project to bottom to top and
Is this
authorizing.
within your estimate?
It's a little bit above our estimate. The bid was around 947,000. We were about 820,000, 825, so it is a little bit higher. I'm not surprised. I'm actually relieved that it came in that close to our estimate with
Okay.
what we've been seeing on other projects, so.
And so how you wanna fund it?
Primarily, we have a grant through GOMESA, so this is a DEQ grant that's gonna fund the majority of it. And then since it's a sewer project, it could be eligible for, any of the other infrastructure costs or through ARPA.
Anybody got any questions?
95% of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basic grant.
Do we have it, budgeted
Yes.
in this project? Okay, I need a motion to file a recommendation engineer to award Sunset Sewer Project to the bottom to the top construction LLC in the amount of $947,210.42 and authorize the mayor to sign the notice of award. Motion by Councilman Seal,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion? No? When do they set you think they'll start?
Oh, he still has to get his submittals and his material and everything, so it would be, I would say, at least a month or so before they
Okay.
get started. And we
All
still have to go back to DEQ, give them all the bid package, let them review it, give us authorization to execute the contract, so it's gonna be another one of those projects that doesn't go as fast as we like.
I understand. Okay, vote the motion.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was reading.
The motion carries 4-0. Any other things, Jason?
That's the only action item we needed for tonight. If you have any other questions about any other project.
Yeah, I do. I have one. How's the,
Sienna Lane.
Mhm.
Most of the main ditches have been cleaned. We might have to look at getting a permit modification. Once we got past, or to the north of Kingston, we realized as the contractor was working, there was a lot more sediment in that area. The permit only allowed for de-snagging, removing like tree limbs and trash. We were looking at having to get a permit modification, maybe to go in and clean some more of that out. Right now, they're working along Benigno and Sienna Lane, increasing the capacity of the ditches, changing out the culvert.
Did
while
they
we
clean
work on
out
the other.
where it goes into the main bayou?
No, that had been done by the county a couple years ago into Watch Bayou. So this project doesn't go that far. We're just gonna pick up basically where the county left off.
So it's gonna have free flow all the way down?
Once we get the sediment removed, to the north of Kingston, it'll flow down through there. But a lot of that wasn't included in the permit, so now we have to look at a permit modification and go in and clean some more of that out.
My understanding, Watts Bayou was not cleaned out. Contractor did not get back in there, didn't have the equipment, so it's still plugged up, according to property owners, and I think even the county went out there.
Yeah, that was my understanding from the county, was that they worked with, I think it was Mr.
Yeah.
Byer, and they went out and cleaned out what they
Yeah.
could.
I don't know, they're saying,
I don't know how far they went. I
well,
just
they
know
said
the
they
county
couldn't
took
make it because it was too boggy, so it's still plugged up.
Yeah.
So we doing all the upstream drainage, and I asked Ronnie to look into that, he was supposed to follow up, but according to Ed and property owners, they didn't get very far back in there, and it started sinking. So Watts Bayou is still plugged up, so everything upstream's gonna be clean, but they can't get out, so
Yeah.
I don't know if
They
you can follow
got
up.
the beaver dams and all that out where they found
Yes.
those.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how far past that.
Yeah, I think there was some,
Yeah.
Kingston
it was
somewhere.
bogging.
That was the main
bad.
issue.
Yeah, it was bad, but, yeah, we need to find out, ask Ronnie to follow up, because I mean,
Okay.
we get everything upstream clean and it's still plugged and
Still gonna back up?
it's still gonna back up, right? But I don't know if,
I mean, the good thing about it is it just basically goes into a
Right.
big floodplain right there, so it's got a way for it to get out, but.
right, seeks its
And that's
level.
what the contractor's running into now is, the way that he was, to de-snag all the material is different equipment needed to get in there and remove the
Okay.
sediment. So, that's why we're looking at some modifications to the
Okay.
permit to do that.
Yep.
But we'll follow up. I'll
Yeah,
get
just
with
follow,
Ronnie.
because I know the property owners were concerned, because they got so far and it was sinking, so the
Yeah.
contract said he was just gonna lose his bond because he couldn't finish the job. So,
And I don't remember a contractor being hired. It was the county that we
Okay.
were talking
Yeah,
to,
I don't-
to go in and do the work.
Yep. Okay.
But we'll follow up on that.
Anybody got anything else on any other project? Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Jason, what was your timeline, you think, for phase 2 of the ARPA project, sewer project?
We're
Or-
actually,
or authorization to advertise? from
We
the
should
council?
probably be back at your next meeting in October to request authorization to advertise for that and a couple other projects. But that would be one of the ones that we would target.
That's our big one for sewer. So that's fixing all the point repairs, kind of what we talked about earlier
Mhm.
with that gentleman.
With Mr. Carr,
Yeah.
I mean, Mr.
Valentine, I think. Yeah, Valentine Street.
Ardmore.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's gonna be coming next.
Yeah, he says
There's
he's
a
gonna
big
bid
one
that
coming.
out in a couple weeks or
Yeah.
so. All right. I don't have anything more.
Good.
So the work y'all are doing right now in Sienna and Benigno and that, y'all are gonna carry that through down Paradise and Stewart?
No, ma'am, right now it's just along Sienna and Benigno. North of, when I referenced Kingston, that was the main drain that runs north and south
Okay.
between Sienna Lane and Kingston and runs out to Watford. That's the section that we still need to go clean out.
And Jason, that was a grant too, right? Wasn't it a grant and then the county gave, was it general?
That was 50/50.
Yeah, the county's.
50/50 with the county.
City,
So half of us, okay. I couldn't remember. I knew the county did half.
And when are they gonna do that?
That's what's under construction right now.
The clean out to go to Watts Bayou?
it doesn't go all the way to Watts Bayou. The section just north of Kingston on the main drain is where we need a permit modification to go in and clean out some of the
Set
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
See, I think right now, just, there's no defined drain going through there. It's just out into a flat. I think they're trying to make sure they get that cleared to where it will continue out through there. You know, and I know the beaver dam is a big thing that they keep going in there to make sure it's taken care of. And I know the county went there and did some trapping and everything. So hopefully as long as we can keep that, then it'll continue to flow.
Okay. Get a beaver coat?
Can't see you relocating them.
All right, I'm good.
That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, moving on to, city clerk's report. Let's see, we got a motion to approve docket of claims, 24-050 dated October 8th, 2024, in the amount of $551,612.70. Anybody have any questions on the docket?
Nope, it's clean.
Okay,
Motion.
motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion to approve docket of claims, 24-050 dated October 8th, 2024, in the amount of $551,612.70 by Councilman Seal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Consent agenda. Anybody have anything on the consent agenda?
No, just, we were talking about the new agreement with HIDA. We're just updating that agreements while we're signing it now.
I'll answer that, yes.
Yeah.
What happened is NVN now has taken over as fiduciary, so they're amending all contracts.
Okay.
All,
Yeah. So it's a better deal than HIDA was, right?
Same deal, just somebody else is handling, trusted with paying the money.
I know with all discussions where we wasn't getting anything out of HIDA, so we was getting out of the program. Cause it was costing us money and we wasn't really benefiting.
It's the same program. We actually received $8,400 in car allowances.
No, but we don't.
Payment for the city, and we also received $22,000 in overtime for the person assigned.
No, but that's not, we're not even recouping our money. But we talked about, I think I don't know if the mayor, we've talked about this before, HIDA's really not providing us a benefit. We're not getting any seizures, we're not getting any, we're getting some money. We have an officer that we're paying full salary for. We're getting $22,000 in overtime. We're getting $8,400 in allowance for a $55,000 police officer. So we're still paying for them, we're not getting any bang for our buck.
Right now, we've had a lapse.
Chief, you're gonna have to come up to the mic. I'm sorry.
I mean, I thought we'd talked about this previously. You know, we just didn't seem like we're wasting money on HIDA.
I apologize, I'll come up here. We've had a lapse due to, we have another candidate going in that position. They're waiting on the background to pass. So in the meantime, we haven't had anybody active with them. And so that's gonna be a lot of that lapse that we've had, but residual comes in from time to time on the past cases that are past assigned officer work. So it does come in here and there, time to time on the open.
So this agreement expires in January.
Yes,
Let's put the numbers down there before we reapprove it, please.
we can.
Because we're losing money on this. We're losing an officer to HIDA, and we're not getting anything out of them. Half for years.
We'll take a look at the numbers. I
Yeah, look at the
believe
numbers.
they'll show otherwise, and we'll go.
Yeah,
off
I
that.
mean, we can, right? But we've looked in the past and we're wasting money with HIDA. But
You
show me
wanna pull
differently.
this off the consent agenda?
No, it's good now, cause so they took over, so they're going from January 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So in 2 months, it's gonna be over with. This agreement will be over with. So in January, we'll be looking at doing HIDA again. And we wanna see if it's cost effective for the city of Bay St. Louis to.
It's, sometimes the benefits may not be financial, sometimes they'll be federal sentencing. So where some of our defendants and our offenders in the city would normally get a state case, they'd be out in 2 to 3 years. On the federal side, they will receive mandatory minimum 10 years on all of their sentences. So that's a huge impact to us in this area, a 10-year sentence versus a 2 or 3 year revolving door through the state.
Good. Yeah, just what's the benefits, right? That's what we need to know.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else on the consent agenda? Anybody have any questions? Motion to approve consent agenda items 16 through, let's see,
34.
34.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal. May I have a second? Second, Councilman Lewis. There's no discussion, vote to motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Spread reports, motion to spread payroll, hours report, cash balances, RG revenue report, intergovernmental report, grant report, revenue and expense report, chambers monthly meeting report, September HR report, and gaming and sales tax report. You have a motion to approve? Motion, who's that?
Motion. Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal. Second? I'll second.
I think you had right. Councilman.
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Any discussion? Go ahead and vote the motion.
Aye.
Motion.
Aye.
Okay. Wake up, girl.
We'll be here till 9 o'clock.
Motion carries 4-0. Attorney's report.
I think everything I've had's been covered already.
Okay. No need for executive session. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal.
Second.
Second, Councilman Lewis. Vote motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Ready to go now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ready to go now.
I got this sing out of
Take some no-dos.
No, I'm reading. I try to read ahead.
Well, that's
you know,
good.
Where you go, and then I wind up getting like really into it there
Okay.
for a second. I don't even realize.